It's time now for our hot sauce. And of course, you recognize our guest today. She is an award-winning journalist, Inside Edition. She's been on MSNBC and, of course, Fox News. Rita Cosby, thank you for joining us on our program this morning. Welcome to Buffalo. You know, we can't have you here this morning without talking about, of course, the tragedy in Boston. You've covered so many stories on the national level. What is this like for you?
You know, it's heartbreaking, first of all, as an American. And as a journalist and someone who's covered a lot of terrorism stories, we've been nonstop. In fact, you know, in the last 24 hours, I have been on the phone with sources, calling, trying to determine, first of all, who's behind it, trying to understand why this has happened. And I also think it's going to have a lot of tentacles. Right now, we understand that there's a Saudi person of interest who they're speaking to, not a suspect. Is it domestic terrorism? Is it international terrorism? I received the famous letter from Timothy McVeigh. So it was Patriots Day, it was tax day, but now we're also hearing maybe some overseas connections. It's a very complicated story, and I think something that obviously very much transcends Boston. It's an attack on all of us.
It is.
When it attacks our city, whether it happens in Amherst or Buffalo, or whether it happens in Boston or New York City.
Of course, you've done so much investigative work related to Osama bin Laden and that as well. So this you must have some keen insight.
Well, you know, it's interesting. I had tried to do an interview with Osama bin Laden years ago, right around the time of the Millennium attacks, prior to 9/11. And I got back a message from one of his contacts saying, he does not do interviews with women. Isn't that interesting?
That is
and
interesting.
that was even before all the 9/11, because I had followed a lot of the terrorism beat, and I was based in Washington. I was with Fox News at the time, and very heavily involved in all of the investigative and all the back end. Of course, no one ever imagined 9/11 would happen, nor did we ever imagine what happened yesterday in Boston.
We still can't even begin to wrap our heads around it. On a happier note, though, we are glad to welcome you to Buffalo and to the Wing and Get Set as well. You have connections to Buffalo.
I do, and very strong connections. And I'm so excited. In fact, tonight I'm going to be speaking at Damon College, invited by Dr. Gary Olson and all the wonderful people. I'll be the keynote speaker at their academic festival, open, free of charge, everyone.
Great.
So I'm so excited, at 7:30 at the Wick Center. And I'll be speaking about, obviously, what happened in Boston, no doubt, also my career, but especially for me. My father was a Polish resistance fighter. He was in the Warsaw Uprising. And in the height of it all, was also reading stories about this wonderful place called Niagara Falls and Buffalo. And it's so funny, think about these stories that people read thousands of miles away. Well, after my dad survived World War II and got through Warsaw, then was taken to a camp in Germany, he escaped, saved by American troops. So it's a great story, his life, of what it means to be an American. He could not wait to come to this country and then come to Buffalo and come to Niagara Falls. So he actually lived in Grand Isle. He also lived near Niagara Falls and worked at the Niagara Power Plant. So for me, this is really a Cosby homecoming, and really wonderful to be here, where my father, you know, couldn't wait to come.
Well, I think that's amazing that you tell all these fantastic stories and dig into the history behind them, and yet you have this own story right in your back pocket with your own father, and then to be able to tell this story with him, and the book, no less.
Yeah, and the book, we did a best-selling book together. It's called Quiet Hero, and the proceeds go to troops and their families, also go to Polish causes. And it's also a story, and I'm going to be talking about it tonight at Damon, because it's a story of a daughter getting to know her father. And I hope it also inspires everybody out there to look into their own past, especially so many people in this community have such incredible ties, especially to the Polish background. And there's some incredible stories from that time that have yet to be told, and incredible stories of heroism, and stories also of really fighting insurmountable odds. People don't realize the history of the people in the Warsaw Uprising. My dad fighting, you know, in his unit, they only had 3 guns, 150 guys, and to survive that. And those of you who are patriotic and also understand the sacrifice, really understand the battle that my father was in, and his comrades too. And then at the end of the day, to be saved by American troops, it's a great reminder of who this country is. And as we hear everything that's been happening in Boston, and these people who are attacking us, as we saw in 9/11, because of the values we have to all stand firm together and realize what a great country this is, and the best country on earth, and to send their men thousands of miles away to free my father, literally, in World War II. I'm always so grateful to be an American.
What an amazing story. I can't wait to read the book. I know a lot of folks love it. I can't believe a best-selling book, no less, and especially what you're doing with that book and the proceeds.
Well, I tell everybody the greatest thing was to call my dad, of all the accomplishments I've had in my life, to call my dad and say, hey, guess what? The best-selling book in America America is about you and your comrades, and,
what a
and how
wonderful
wonderful
story.
to give back. And I'm excited. I'm going to be talking about it tonight. Again, I'll be at the WIC Center
Sure.
at 7:30. It's free of charge. Everybody, I hope you come on out. We'll be talking about my dad, but also a lot more about my career. And I've been to some very interesting places,
yeah.
and I can't wait to speak tonight at the Academic Festival at 7:30.
All the information is on your screen right now. Remember, it is free tonight, 7:30. That's in Amherst at the WIC Center. Rita Cosby, we appreciate you coming on our show this morning.
Thank you.
Welcome to Buffalo.
Thank you. It's
It was
wonderful
nice
to
see
be
you.
back here.
Welcome back.
Thank
Welcome
you.
back.
Thank
Now
you.
let's send things over to Emily and the .com check.